Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am in a car again, headed down to Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland for another new comic book day. There are a lot of great books that are coming out this week. The hottest is probably going to be the new Ultimate Wolverine #1, as well as the new Rogue Savage Land series. I cannot wait for both of those. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great variant covers. I'm going to go down there and pick up a few copies of all of those if I can pick them up, as well as a few other things that are coming out this week. So once I get down there, we'll do like we normally do. We'll film, I'll show you all the new books that are coming out this week. I'll pick up a few things, get home, bag and board everything, and we'll do a show and tell. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I just finished up at Third Eye Comics here in Annapolis, Maryland, and I'm headed home. Once I get there, I'm going to bag and board all the new comics I picked up, and we'll do a little show and tell. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
One eternity later.
All right, everybody, I made it back home, and I bagged and boarded all the new comics I picked up this week. Really some great titles this week, but the two big ones for me were Ultimate Wolverine #1 and Rogue, the Savage Land book. I really am looking forward to reading both of these right here. I thumbed through the artwork inside of the Ultimate Wolverine, and it looks fantastic. So let's just start with that one. I picked up cover A right there. The artist's name is Alessandro Capriccio. I'm sure I'm butchering that a little bit. He's also the interior artist and did the cover here. That is some really nice artwork on the inside. Looks brutal. I mean, Wolverine is killing a lot of people in this. And it's going to be interesting to see what the take is on this character and this rendition of Logan. So I picked up a couple copies of this. Now, I did pick up a couple copies of the regular cover, even though I had already pre-ordered this. I figured this was going to be a semi-hot book, so I don't mind having a couple extra copies of this and some of the other variants here. I did pick up the cover right here. This is Gleb Milnikov, and I'll keep looking at my notes up there because it is hard to pronounce some of these names, and I have the hardest time pronouncing some names anyway. But I picked up a couple copies of that. I thought that was a very nice cover. I did only pick up this one cover of Omega Red cover with Lionel Francis Yu, who did the artwork here. This is interesting because I would not have recognized his artwork as something that he did. In fact, I wasn't really sure who did this artwork. I had to look this one up. Normally, you can recognize his artwork a lot easier, but for some reason, I could not recognize him doing this artwork right here. This right here is a beautiful cover. Lee Bermejo did this. I picked up a couple copies of that, and absolutely stunning artwork right there. I think he did a very similar cover to when they released a few months ago. They released the Wolverine #1, the regular series From the Ashes. I think he had a variant cover on that issue as well, and it was, to me, it's very similar. I have to look that up and see how close they are, because it seemed like it reminds me of that. So maybe it's the same. I don't know, but we'll go back and find that. And so that was all the Ultimate Wolverines that I picked up. But I decided, because Third Eye had a ton of these books, they had a ton of them there, but they also had the Ultimate Wolverine's first appearance, plenty of copies left of this. Ultimate Year 1 right there. And I figured, you know what, it's not going to hurt to have a couple extra copies of a first appearance like that for a little bit less than cover price. Having a pull box at Third Eye gets me, I think, about a 10% discount on all new comics. So 10% off the cover price. It's not too bad to be able to pick up a couple extra brand new minty fresh copies right there. Now, the other great book that came out this week that I'm looking forward to, and you knew they were going to have some great covers on this, was Rogue, the Savage Land. And I think I've already got the main issue ordered. I might even have the J. Scott Campbell ordered. But I went ahead and picked up a couple of issue #1, or cover A, I should say. This is Carrie Andrews. I picked up 2 of those. And of course, this is telling the story of when Rogue ended up in the Savage Land with Magneto and Nick Fury and Kazar, and this was back during when Chris Claremont and Jim Lee were doing the book. So this is why we get this character. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of stories they can pull out of that period in comics that was very beloved Jim Lee artwork and Chris Claremont stories right there. Couldn't pass up getting an extra copy of the J. Scott Campbell cover right there. That is really nice. I've been poo-pooing a little bit on some of the J. Scott Campbell covers, but there's times when I really like him and there's times when I don't. This one I kind of liked, so I picked that one up. I also picked up this right here. This is Nick Bradshaw, I believe, did this one. And I picked up the Russell Dodderman cover right there. They didn't have very many of these, and a couple of them had spine ticks. I was lucky to find one that was fairly clean on this one right there. And the one that's probably the least favorite, but I went in and picked it up because, I don't know, I'm hard for me not to be a speculator sometimes, but I went in and picked up the Marvel animated X-Men 97 animated cover right there with Rogue and Magneto. And how can you resist a Adam Hughes Rogue cover right there? They had the foil variant that he did for that, and that is really nice. Let me see if I can show it with the light. Look how beautiful that. This is probably my favorite Rogue cover of the week right there. Adam Hughes knocked it out of the park on this one, and I couldn't resist. I had to get 2 of those. These will get pulled for the next con, and I will take them and get them signed by Adam Hughes at that point. But there were still some other really good books this week, including G.I. Joe #3. And as you guys know, if you follow the channel, I've been real high on this series ever since it came out. And a lot of that has to do with Joshua Williamson coming to Third Eye Comics for the release of issue #1. Getting to meet him, getting to talk to him. If you get a chance, go back and watch that video. I mean, he literally wouldn't stop talking. I couldn't believe how long he kept talking while I'm standing there. It was crazy. He was just telling stories, and I couldn't get away. I mean, it was crazy. And I know that the staff there at Third Eye were getting a little frustrated because there was a long line, and I was taking up a lot of time. I probably was up there 15 minutes with him And that doesn't seem too long, but when you got 100 people, 200 people in line, and he's only got a 2-hour window, that's a lot of time. But he just kept, like, he's a storyteller, so he was telling all kinds of different stories. In fact, I think I'm going to have to go back and watch that episode myself because it was so interesting. I think I let that run for a while to let him talk. But I'd already ordered issue number 1, the main cover and the David Finch cover. I already got those pre-ordered. But I did want to get the Phil Lobos cover right there. And I got to admit, this is probably one of my least favorite covers from Phil Lobos that I would actually still pick up. There are occasions when I don't pick up a lot of his covers. In fact, there was a book this week, and I cannot remember. I think it was the new Laura Kinney Wolverine number 1, where he did the cover. And I didn't really care for that, but I did pick this one up. And I did pick up the David Nakayama cover right here. This is a connecting variant, and I'll have to match this up with the previous issues because he's got various covers on each one of the new G.I. Joes. I will see how that, I didn't realize they were going to be connecting. We'll see how that does. But again, and I talked about David Nakayama on the last new Comic Book Day show. I really enjoying his artwork right now because he's adding in these backgrounds, and before that it seemed like he was doing all these covers where the backgrounds were completely one monotone, one color, and the figure was floating in that space. And they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, I love them. But recently he's been doing these covers where you've got this full background, and it's very, very spectacular. So I have enjoyed that. If I get a chance to meet him again in person at a con, I will take some of these G.I. Joes definitely to get signed. And then the last book I picked up the week was one that I was intrigued by the first issue. Artwork was very nice, so I went ahead and I hadn't pre-ordered it because I wasn't sure if I was going to pre-order it in advance that much. And like I said, it was only last month that number 1 came out of this series, but that doesn't give me enough time to do a pre-order for anything really other than maybe issue 3 or 4. So I still wasn't committed to pre-ordering this book. So I went ahead and picked up issue number 2 of the New Gods from DC Comics, and thumbing through this book as well. The artwork inside looks really cool. So I'm going to enjoy sitting down and reading this. In fact, after I'm done here, I'm going to sit down and read all these books. So guys, definitely let me know what you think about the books I picked up this week by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. And that's it, guys. I am out of here for today. If you enjoy this kind of content, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week. And until the next episode, you guys have a great time. Enjoy your comic books, and just remember, every comic has a story.